The next segment of the program showcases our bilateral efforts to strengthen relations and communities while fostering the next generation of leaders through the Tomodachi Initiative. As many of you know, the Tomodachi Initiative was born out of the support for Japan's recovery from the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011. We now have over 10,000 Tomodachi alumni from our youth leadership programs, including the Toshizo Watanabe Leadership Program and recently launched Mineta Ambassadors Program that you heard about earlier today. In this powerful closing session, hear from the standout alumni as they share how Tomodachi has fueled their passions and empowered them to take action. Their stories of leadership, innovation, and paying it forward showcases how the ripple effects of their efforts is shaping a brighter future for all of our communities, locally and globally. Please welcome the next wave of changemakers to the stage.
Like a stone cast into a tranquil pond, one person can send ripples across the globe. Each ripple, each impact grows stronger as it spreads, shaping a brighter future. In today's panel, Ripple Effect, the Tomodachi generation, 3 remarkable Tomodachi alumni who have turned passion into action will share about the work that they're doing in their communities and the waves of change that work has made in society. Hello everyone, my name is Riley Masunaga. I am the organizer of the Tokyo Failure Club and an alumni of the Tomodachi KAKEHASHI Inouye Scholars Program. I'll be your facilitator for this evening, and I'm excited to introduce you to 3 of our panel participants who embody the spirit of the Tomodachi generation. A 3rd-generation Japanese-American, Miku Hayashida, is a social worker who uses her voice and lived experiences to champion disability rights. A participant in the Tomodachi Story Jam program, Miku's advocacy work focuses on challenging stereotypes through her stories and inspiring collective action for societal change. Let's give her a round of applause. Next, Shotaro Abe is a 3rd-year student at Waseda University and founder of the Kama Classic Orchestra in his beloved town of Kamakura. Through his determination and the support of the Tomodachi Boeing Entrepreneurship Seminar, he's persevered through self-doubt and transformed a 600-seat concert hall booking into a sold-out performance. By the way, his orchestra has its 2nd performance in an even bigger venue this time, scheduled for Saturday, January 11th, 2025. So if you're going to be in the area, please attend the next Kama Classic Orchestra. And finally, Hikari Igarashi is a social entrepreneur on a mission to create a more equitable society for underserved communities. A participant of the Tomodachi MetLife Women's Leadership Program, her background growing up in a lower-income single-mother household and professional experience working with nonprofits have led her to found Kashkali, a Web3 platform that uses blockchain technology to make resource sharing more accessible and equitable for underserved communities. So to start things off, I would like to ask each of our panelists a little bit more about the work that they do. So Miku, I understand that one area you've been doing advocacy has been petitioning Japan Railways, JR, to create greater accessibility in the train system. Can you tell us a little bit more about that petition and what encouraged you to start that?
Sure. So 2022, I launched a petition to improve the wheelchair assistance system for the train, and we wheelchair users have to wait for the train for like 20 minutes to receive the supports we need, and I wanted to change that system. Initially, I started these petitions all by myself, but this petition got so many attentions, including my company's CEO, and I successfully collected petitions like 2,000 signatures in just one night. Thank you. And after 5 months, we successfully submitted 50,000 signatures to the government, and the government said they promised me to take actions to improve the system.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I mean, I think you heard, everyone's reaction to that. The 50,000 is amazing, but I think what stood out to me really is just that first 2,000 to have that come in one day, especially when you don't expect it. How did that feel?
First of all, I couldn't believe that we do have a power to, collect the numbers of petitions in just one night. I thought I'm lucky if we collected like 100 or 200 in just one night, but it was 2,000 signatures. So I thought, oh, could be something. And I thought, oh, this could be, big opportunities to advocate ourselves in our society. Yeah.
It's truly amazing. Shotaro, I want to ask you, so you created Kama Classic, this orchestra in Kamakura. Can you tell us a little bit about what makes this orchestra unique?
I founded a Kama Classic Orchestra with Tomodachi Boeing Entrepreneurship Seminar members. In February of this year, we held our first concert, and I'm proud to say we filled all 600 seats. Thank you very much. And our members ranged from 6th graders to people in their 60s. Through this orchestra, I hope to create a long-term connections with the community in Kamakura. Not just with tourists, but with people who want to become a deeper part of Kamakura.
Yeah, I think it's a really unique point that you're not just thinking about how do I fill this concert hall one time. It's about creating that deeper connection to the area, which I think is really interesting. You mentioned that you had musicians between 6th grade and 60 years old, and that you had to gather all of them. Can you talk a little bit more about how difficult it was to get all of these musicians for your orchestra?
I booked a concert hall before having any other players. But after that, it was hard to get players. Even 4 months before the first practice, we only had 10 people. So to recruit more, we handed out flyers for 7 hours under the 30 degrees heat sun at the local festival nearby the sea. During that time, I met the mayor of Kamakura. This idea just popped out in my head and I asked him, "Would you conduct for the encore at our concert?" I knew it was a bold request, but surprisingly he said, "Sure," on the spot. I was surprised, but it made all those hours in the sun worth it. That really boosted the motivation of our team. On the concert day, the audience was so surprised to see the mayor conducting. No one expected, and everyone enjoyed the mayor's unusual assignment.
Yeah, I think that it must have been really surprising. It's really surprising to hear that the mayor volunteered to conduct the orchestra for the encore. But honestly, for me, I'm still more surprised that you handed out flyers for 7 hours in 30-degree heat in the summer in Japan, which for context for all, if you're American like me, that's about 90 degrees and 100% humidity. So that would have, I still can't get over that. So it's amazing that that worked out. And Hikari, you have this really interesting journey. You started in a corporate job, and then now you work in social impact and tech. Can you tell us a little bit more about the work that you do since you moved on from corporate?
Right. So I actually started off my career at a PR firm, but then soon after I worked at the firm, I started questioning what sort of impact am I making here through my work. That's where I decided to drastically shift my path from corporate world to the nonprofit sector. So in the past several years, I have worked at an organization called Women's Eye, which is based in Tohoku area. Basically, we provide a wide variety of programs for local women. But then in the middle of the pandemic, we actually started one research project targeting single mother households in Japan. The reason why we started this project is, as many of you might know, about 50% of single mother households in Japan, they are in the poverty line. So that's where we decided to launch this project, and we have conducted reaching out to over 2,000 single mother households, and we basically tracked the data over 1 year and used that data for the advocacy, asking to the Japanese government to provide additional financial support for lower income families. And we ended up reaching over 40,000 lower income families, not necessarily single mother households.
What's remarkable about that, I think, is sometimes we think, the fear of research is you learn something that seems impactful or is really eye-opening, but then nothing happens. So the fact that your research actually got used and ended up supporting so many people, I think, is something that's really remarkable. Before moving on to anything else, I want to ask each of our panelists a little bit more about the personal connection that they feel to the work that they do. So, Miku, you've talked about how raising your voice is a challenge and it really leaves you vulnerable in some ways. As you've been doing your advocacy, has there been a moment or has there been something that stands out to you as something that's helped you to stay motivated to continue doing this difficult work?
Thank you. So, advocacy for me always starts from storytelling. And I think Tomodachi Story Jam program gave me the platform to share my stories, including my struggles. And so I strongly believe the power of storytelling, and I wanted to use the power to make the change in the world together. And one of the biggest advocacy work for me is that petitions that I mentioned earlier. And I thought it's just part of my life to wait for the train longer just because I'm in the wheelchair. But the message I got from a mother who has a disabled son changed my mind. She almost gave up on being treated equally as others just because her son is disabled. And listening to her struggles gave me the strength to take actions to make changes happen in this society together.
When you received that message from that mother, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, so I felt like sadness and anger at the same time, but especially I felt deeply her powerlessness inside of her, and I thought I needed to take action to help her, to empower her to raise her voice for our community.
Absolutely. And I think that through your work, you were able to let her express herself in a way that maybe she hadn't had a chance before also. Shotaro, in your case, organizing this orchestra was the first time you had ever organized an event. Is there one moment from your organizing experience that stood out to you that you really remember?
5 months before the performance, we had our first practice, but only 2 people showed up. Though I had hoped for 50 or 60. After practice, we went to an izakaya, and I felt like I should apologize for not gathering enough people. At that time, I was thinking that I was doing this project for myself, and the people are there to support my vision. During the dinner, one performer thanked me and said, "Thank you for creating this place. You are the reason we are all here. You've created a place where we belong." In that moment, I realized this orchestra wasn't just for me. It was about creating community where everyone felt they belonged.
And when you heard that, how did it make you feel?
I'm really happy to hear that, and I almost cried.
Finally, Hikari, it stands out to me that you are doing work that's really close to your heart, that relates to how you were raised and your background. When you do this research, has there been like one concrete episode that stands out to you?
Right. So throughout the research, the most memorable thing was that all these comments from 2,000 single mother households, every month we were conducting this research, and they were always writing comments. And one of them actually stood out to me, which said, I couldn't stop tearing up at the supermarket because my budget at the time was so low that I couldn't even buy staple food. Which was very surprising, for a general public to see that level of poverty here in Japan, one of the most developed countries. So first, the reason why it really stood up, it's because one, I could really resonate with that sort of experience. And also, it really made me realize that this is my mission. This is definitely something I really want to work. But then by being in the social sector, I constantly felt the frustration of difficulty of raising funds. That's where I started to explore the field of technology and startup in the perspective to really bring this solution, like something not necessarily limited to the social sector, but using the power of technology.
Absolutely. And I think it's really interesting that you're finding a way to kind of address what you saw as maybe some of the limitations, the frustrations of the work you were doing. For all three of these stories, really, the thing that stood out to me is they all relate to the idea of hearing the voices that are unheard, but also that kind of by trying to do something that's meaningful to yourself or trying to make a change, you don't realize how many people actually really resonate or have some empathy or sympathy for what you're doing. And those voices don't always get heard. So thank you, three of you, for making those opportunities for people to voice themselves or be heard. Before we end today's session, today's panel is about highlighting the power of individual action. So I'd like to end the session by asking each of our panelists a little bit about what we can do to better ourselves or better society. Miku, you speak about disability and making yourself vulnerable to advocate for what you believe in. Is there anything that we all can do to contribute to a more inclusive and accessible society?
Sure. So this is just my personal opinion. But I feel like people feel like talking about disability is a taboo thing. But I don't think it's a taboo to talk about it because obviously I was born with it. So this is the conditions that I'm born with. So it became just natural part of myself. So it's just not special topic to talk about it. So yeah, and I'm very open book person. So just ask me anything about myself or my disability, and I have willingness to answer it. So yeah, please ask me anything. But yeah, so my message will be open or be open-minded, and learn from different perspective with respect. Yeah, that will be my message.
That's a great message. Shotaro?
My message is simple. Every one of us has a stage where we can shine. It's not about being perfect. It's about finding where you truly belong. Actually, in high school, I was bullied on social media. And in college, I struggled as a conductor in my brass band club. And I lost my confidence and started to doubt myself. But even those in difficult times, I managed to find a place where I could shine. I've never been someone who easily fits into groups, but somehow I was able to bring people together and become a leader. That's the reason I am here today. Thank you.
So one of the lessons I actually learned alongside my journey is to go beyond your self-doubts and just go beyond where you are now. Because it's actually a very funny story that I almost didn't participate the Tomodachi program because I almost didn't even apply to the program. There was this small voice like in my head saying, you might not be enough. You might not get in anyway. But then in the end, I just applied anyway. And throughout the program, actually, I met this mentor who taught me that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay not to be perfect. And it's totally fine to just be yourself, which actually really pushed me through all these transitions from corporate world to nonprofit, then nonprofit to startup. So I hope more and more people would just simply go beyond their doubts and then just go beyond where they are now, so that we can keep creating all these impacts like around ourselves.
To be open and open to change, to think about the role that you fill and the stage that you belong on, and to go beyond yourself and to challenge yourself. I think these are all wonderful messages for the audience. I think all of you have turned opportunities given to you into remarkable action, and I think it's clear that your work is going to continue to inspire others to do the same. I want to thank our three panelists once again for being willing to share their stories so honestly and openly with such a huge audience of people. And I wanted to say, let's continue to make change. Let's continue to make an impact. Thank you for joining us tonight, and let's continue to build a brighter future together.
Thank you so much for your heartwarming stories, and we're very inspired by your experiences and talents. Now, I would like to welcome Miku Narisawa to the stage. She will share her personal journey as a Tomodachi alumna and her important contributions to the Tomodachi Kibou for Maui program.
Good afternoon, everyone. As I stand here today, I want to take a moment to speak from bottom of my heart. Many of you are here because you believe in the power of connections and the value of cross-cultural connections. Few days after surviving the March 11, 2011 tsunami, while looking at the ocean where debris was still floating, I learned the most important life lesson I have ever encountered. To live stronger for those who could make it, and to be the person who contributes rather than takes away from others. My name is Miku Narisawa, and today I represent not only as a founder of Odyssey Nature Japan, but also one of the Tomodachi program alumni who is now involved in the Tomodachi's newest program, Kibou for Maui. 2 years after the Great Eastbound earthquake devastated my hometown of Miyagi Prefecture, I participated in one of the first Tomodachi program, Rainbow for Japan Kids in Hawaii, when I was 14. After losing my community, friends, teachers, and home, I wasn't emotionally stable to look around me, and I was struggling to be labeled as survivors, passed over for opportunity for leadership. But reflecting back, I would have been here today without all the support we received from Japan, US, and other parts of the world. We felt motivated by the support of others, knowing that we could step to the plate to inspire our community and the world. It was through the generosity of people who believe in investing in next generation that I found my way forward. That experience planted a seed in me, a deep sense of responsibility to give back when the time was right. Last August, I heard about the devastating wildfire in Lahaina, and I knew it was my turn to pay it forward. With fellow USG members Yo Kawanami and Nei Gyotoku, together, we began to discuss how we could offer Lahaina's youth a similar hopes and opportunities. That is how the idea for Kibou for Maui was born, a program centered on disaster resilience, cross-cultural learning, leadership, and the coexistence with nature. More than that, we designed it to be a space for healing, reflection, and growth. This program is deeply personal to me. While Lahaina's story differs from my community, we understand how it is like to live in the aftermath of a disaster. That is why my community, Higashi Matsushima City, opened its hearts and homes to 21 students from Lahaina, showing them that they're not alone, that they have allies, friends, tomodachi across the ocean. When the student arrived from Maui, I saw the same uncertainty I had in their age. But I also saw their strengths and their desire to move forward. As we prepare for our next cohort in March 2025, I am committed to ensuring those young leaders continue to be supported. My deepest wish is that we see them not only as a survivor, but as a bright leaders as they are destined to become. And I hope that those students view themselves as empowered individuals and capable of shaping their futures with compassion and purpose through this program. My journey from 2011 to now as a marine environmental researcher and educator has been shaped by incredible support from my family, friends, mentors like you, and USJC community. Now, through Kibou for Maui, I have the privilege to give back to the next generations. And I am so honored to be part of this community as a Tomodachi program alumni and also as a USJC member. And I believe in the power of this kizuna and the power of young people to change the world. And I hope to continue to be the example for many Tomodachi alum to do the same as the time is now. Thank you so much.